So, Brian, before we get started, while we're just hanging out here, I'll introduce, just said hello to my sister, Mary Lisa, and our friend, Martha. I see we also have Pat here, and Yusrith was saying hello. You probably already know her.
Oh, yeah, Brian knows Azareth since he was a little baby.
What a beautiful name, Azareth. I've never seen it before. And Brian, do you want to just say hi? Actually, everybody, we're having you type in the chat where you're calling from. But Brian, if you want to just say hello to everybody and tell the relationship, because you happen to have the same last name as Russell. Megan does not. We'll have her say hello next.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. So good to see so many familiar faces, but even better to see unfamiliar faces. I'm Brian. I am Russell Mariani's son. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Mark.
One of two sons, born just days apart on each side of my birthday. We all just got to celebrate a few weeks ago. So if you are just joining us, we would love to hear where you are calling from. If you want to put in your name and hello in the chat. We're going to get started probably about a minute or two after the top of the hour, but I would love to have Megan say hello to everybody before we get going, and then I'll have Russell say hello to everyone before we officially begin. Megan, do you want to just say hi?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to have you all here, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here. My name is Megan Moore, and I'm co-founder of the Center for Functional Nutrition. And Russell and I are business partners, and we've also been married for quite a long time, happily so. Here we are together tonight. So thanks, Mark. I think that's what I have to say.
Beautiful. Again, so happy to see you here, and having the whole family, the team is on board. So again, we're still a little bit from getting started. I see more people coming in. Hello, David. Great to see you here. Hello, Robin and Galen, Peg, Roberto. Nice to see you. And if you are able to join us off video, that's wonderful. If you're doing other things and can't, that's great. But hopefully you're as present as you can be. And again, we are going to be as engaged. We're going to try to address whatever challenges that you might be having, or you have friends or family, whatever challenges they're having. So we do want to hear from you so we can give you specifically what you're looking for. And again, we're going to get started in just a moment. Before we officially begin, Russell, do you want to just say hello to anybody in particular, or hello to anybody that's everyone that's on the call so far?
Oh, hello, everybody who's on the Zoom. Thanks so much for taking time out on a Wednesday evening to be here. And I recognize a lot of it take too long to say hello to each individual person. So,
right,
Mark.
Great. Exactly what we were looking for. I am recording. I'm going to actually go ahead and mute everyone for a moment. And that means, Russell, I'm also going to be muting you. So you'll need to unmute yourself here in just a moment. And I am going to give everybody just a moment to still gather in. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and put your name and where you're calling from in the chat box so that we know that you know how to do that. Later on, we're going to have you raising hands and answering questions and being interactive. But in just a moment, I'm going to be introducing Russell Mariani, my self-care sensei, and we'll let him kind of guide us through the journey that he brings his clients through on really addressing any kind of chronic illness. And we'll see some of the root causes and take specific actions. The main thing is I wanted Russell to share some specific things that we can do right away, leaving this call, that will improve our health or any kind of chronic issue that we might be facing. I see Nancy has her hand up, so I really appreciate that. Before we get going, Nancy, did you want to ask something real quick? I see your hand.
No, sorry about that.
All good. No. If you do have questions, again, please do raise your hands. We will get to everybody's questions after the call. We want to make sure we've got a lot to cover in 1 hour, and we want to honor everybody's time and jump right in with our introductions. So again, I've got everybody on mute at the moment, and we're going to officially begin here. I want to pull up Russell's information so we can have a nice introduction. So many different pages. Here we go.
Oh, that's okay. I can introduce myself. We don't need an official going over my biography or anything like that. So just
That's perfect. Well, then I will just.
I will now officially begin, and thank you everyone for being here tonight. Really appreciate that you're taking the time to listen. And I promise to explain the 7 root cause areas, and you will come out of this session tonight with some very specific things that you can do right away to improve your condition. So there's going to be a presentation, and then we will have a Q&A following that. Okay, so you can put your questions in the chat if you'd like, but we will have a live Q&A session when we're done with the presentation. So I definitely wanted to say that I'm excited and very grateful to be here tonight. And I'm eager to share with you the harvest of 50 years of research and study and 42 years in private practice. I wanted to just acknowledge a few people at the very beginning. I want to thank David Ricklin. I see that you're here tonight. Thank you. And Mark and Renee Porteous for all your support over the last few months. That's why we're here tonight, because of their support of me and my work. I want to thank Aaliyah for setting up our new website for the video course, which is you'll be hearing a lot more about tonight. I also want to thank the core members of our team at the Center for Functional Nutrition, Evan Mariani and Samantha Hodian, and Brian Mariani, who is waving. Brian, especially your contributions over the last 3 years have been really pivotal. And I do want you to know that I am positively primed for tonight's session. And of course, I want to thank my dear wife, Megan, who is the co-director and co-founder of the Center for Functional Nutrition. And we have been working together for 40 years. So thank you, Megan, for everything that you do. Megan does so much behind the scenes. I get to be the face and the interface for most people, but without Megan doing everything that she does, I certainly wouldn't be able to do what I do. So thank you, Megan. So everybody ready? Raise your hand, say, I'm ready. So let's dive in. I have a short introduction, and then I'll throw it back to Mark, and we'll kind of go back and forth through the session. But why is digestive wellness so important? You're going to be hearing more and more about this as time goes by. And there's some very particular reasons why it's so important. So let's jump in. 90% of all adult negative health conditions are chronic and degenerative in nature. That means they're not caused by infections and they're not caused by accidents. Chronic degenerative conditions means that damage has occurred inside your body. Damage has occurred in organs and systems and cells, which has led to dysfunction, which over time has led to dis-ease. And in the world of functional medicine and functional nutrition, it's important to hyphenate that word, disease, and break it into two, dis-ease. It simply means a lack of ease, a lack of normal functioning. And that's a very important perspective to have, because the names of diseases can be quite scary, but all of them come down to a lack of normal functioning. Now, so 90% of all negative adult conditions are chronic and degenerative in nature. 100% of all chronic degenerative conditions are caused by oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is the medical code word for inflammation. So 100% of every disease you've ever heard of every negative condition you've ever heard of, is caused by inflammation. And the major causes of inflammation are primarily in our diet and lifestyle, which means that we can prevent problems from happening, or no matter how bad the current condition is, no matter how bad the current symptoms are, you can step into that process and stop the degeneration of an organ or system or cell and initiate a regenerative process, initiate cellular regeneration. And so that's what this whole approach is all about. Now, the sources of inflammation in our diet are very commonly known things: sugar, alcohol, refined carbohydrates, processed food, junk food, pesticides, herbicides, residues in our food, additives, preservatives, colorings, air pollution, water pollution, all of the normal sources that you hear about all the time. All these things lead to inflammation, but there's one particular area of inflammation that rarely gets diagnosed accurately, and even less rarely gets treated properly. And that is a condition called intestinal dysbiosis. Intestinal dysbiosis means that of the hundreds of trillions of organisms living in your digestive system, too many of them are called bad bacteria or pathological organisms. There's an overgrowth of pathological organisms in your gut. Now, these organisms aren't neutral. They're not just hanging out. They actively eat your food, produce waste products that are toxic to your system, and they cause all the obvious symptoms of digestive disorders: gas, bloating, cramping, indigestion, loose, urgent, frequent bowel movements, or constipated bowel movements, or combinations of both. But what's driving all those negative symptoms is inflammation. The toxins by the bad organisms produce inflammation, and that inflammation causes swelling, literal swelling of your intestines. And that leads to another condition called intestinal permeability, more commonly known as leaky gut syndrome. Millions and millions and millions of people have leaky gut syndrome, and they don't know it. And the practitioner they go to or the doctor they go to isn't diagnosing it. But leaky gut syndrome leads to symptoms and conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome, headaches, muscle aches, arthritis, fibromyalgia, cognitive disorders, mood disorders, sleep disorders, skin disorders. In fact, you fill in the blank. Every negative symptom and every negative condition that you've ever heard of can be caused by leaky gut, because leaky gut means that the toxins that are supposed to be contained inside the digestive system, the toxins that are supposed to stay inside the intestines, are leaking out because of the inflammation. You can picture this, the structure of your small intestines or large intestines supposed to be like this. Suddenly, it's like this. So toxins are leaking out. Those toxins enter your bloodstream, become systemic, and cause all of those other symptoms and conditions. So people treat the headache with something for a headache. People treat the muscle ache for something specific to muscle. Maybe they're taking anti-inflammatories or antioxidants. But the deepest root cause, the most common root cause to all of those negative symptoms, is inflammation in the gut, leaky gut, caused by dysbiosis. So the basis of my approach to health and healing is to make sure that the digestive system is functioning properly. And guess what? When it does, most, if not all, of those terrible other negative symptoms and conditions just disappear. So this is why we say in functional medicine and functional nutrition, everything is downstream of the intestinal microbiome. And what that means is that no matter what the symptom or condition is, you fix the gut, when you heal the gut, when you restore normal functioning to the digestive system, you open the door to the possibility of addressing and resolving all other negative symptoms. So that's very good news. And that means that digestive wellness is the key to all other aspects of our health and wellness. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And so now I will pass it back to Mark, who I think is going to share his story.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's very interesting because the reason that we're here is because a dear friend of mine knew about my arthritis and actually introduced Brian to introduce me to Russell. And since then, now we're working together as part of MetaMind to be able to bring this program to everybody. So it was really, really wonderful to actually go through it one-on-one, the private program that you've been doing for over 20 years as a way to experience it for myself after a surgery. So so everybody knows, and a lot of people already do, on December 1st of last year, I had a full, it's called a total hip replacement on my right side. 7 years ago, I'd started to feel a little twinge of pain when I was running, and it started to get worse and worse. And I thought I had just pulled something. And then after years, I finally got a diagnosis that my doctor went and x-rayed it and said, you've got arthritis, you're going to need surgery. It's just a matter of when. You can get shots to help you get through the pain. There's other things you can get through it, but there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to need surgery. And it was 3 more years of excruciating pain. It was last April on my kid's birthday that I was crying at a park because I was in so much pain. My wife didn't realize how bad it was. So I finally got the surgery done. And 6 weeks before I even started, I had the surgery. We had already had the other leg, and he goes, you're starting to see it over there. And I'm like, I'm starting to feel it. And I knew that it was inevitable that I would end up having to have another surgery for the other hip. And Russell said, it's not inevitable. It can be changed. You can do something about it. And I had the faith. He showed me what he's going to share with you guys tonight. And I believed it. And I took what he said to heart, and I just went for it for 30 days. And in that time after surgery, I went within the 7 days, I was getting out of bed and my feet didn't hurt when they pushed the ground. That was the first time in months where literally my feet were so sore. My back was sore, all of my joints. It wasn't just my hip, my knees. My doctor said, you'll probably need your knees done after that. So I'm thinking, oh, great. I'm going to be a robot by the time I'm 65 years old. And within, again, the first 30 days, I had my second follow-up x-rays, and actually, no, it was 3 months afterwards that I had my follow-up x-rays, and they could already see that it was looking like less arthritis, but he just said that's just because of bad x-ray. It was just, maybe the last time the x-ray wasn't the same. There was some difference in it. It wasn't my body healing itself, because that can't happen. And we're going to learn why it can happen from Russell.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Mark came to me primarily because of the hip damage. He had replaced the right hip, as he said, through surgery, but he was hoping to prevent a further surgery on the other hip down the road. And I said, there's no reason why that cannot happen. And so now we started working together in early January. And Mark has had significant improvement in the other hip, and as he just said, in his knees. So most of that inflammation is gone, is clearing up, because we not only addressed maybe the deepest root cause, the leaky gut probability, but as you'll see, there are 7 root cause areas, and Mark has been consistently practicing what I call the complementary habits in each of those 7 areas, and avoiding the most egregious insults. And so his body is healing. His body is regenerating.
Well, real quick, I wanted to talk to you because you mentioned that one of the things that I really appreciated about the process of it wasn't I had to give up everything all at once forever. That was the big fear that I had. I'm like, I don't want to change my lifestyle forever. That was really honest. I felt lazy about it. I felt guilty about it. And I'm like, but I just don't. I just had to pick, a couple of things, which is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to pick a couple of changes that you can make, and just picking out the top changes that you can make is all that it takes. Then you can add more and more changes later, but just starting off with 2 or 3 is what made the difference for me. I just wanted to make sure to underscore that piece of it, that it's not a whole lifestyle change in order to heal me.
Yeah, it's a good point, Mark. And of course, depending on a person's where they're starting from, the
Yeah.
more extreme and severe cases, conditions, symptoms, you may have to make more changes over a short period of time, 2 or 3 or 4 months. But the reason for doing that is to regain a high level of functionality, to regain a high level of health, so that eventually, and again, we're not talking years, we're talking a matter of months, that you can have more wiggle room. I certainly enjoy a lot of wiggle room in my diet, as many people know who have had the opportunity to be with me and see how I enjoy a wide variety of foods and beverages, et cetera. So, but let's dive in. Let me just say a little bit about my own story, my why, how I came to this work and why I continue to do it 42 years later. And I'll keep this brief, and then I'll go into a description of the functional medical model, the functional nutrition model, and the 7 root cause areas. So in March of 1973, so we have to jump into the Wayback Machine for that. I was 18 years old, and I was in the office of a gastroenterologist, having just experienced a colonoscopy at the ripe old age of 18. And this doctor told me, young man, I have bad news. It looks like you have colon cancer. We have to do more tests, but it really does not look good. And I was shocked, of course. Now, I'd had some troubling symptoms in the 2 or 3 or 4 months leading up to this exam, but I certainly wasn't expecting that diagnosis. And even in that first meeting, I said, do you think this has anything to do with my diet? Not because I knew anything at the time about the connections between nutrition and health, but I had been on a crazy high protein diet for about a year. And only in that moment of having been given this terrible diagnosis that I start thinking, oh my God, what could have caused this? And he said, no, it had nothing to do with my diet. And I said, well, how did this happen to me? What caused this to happen? And he said, we don't know. And he left it at that and left the room. Now, I went back 3 weeks later, and in the 3 weeks, I went to the public library. I didn't have the internet to go to. And I walked into his office with a stack of books showing the connection between diet and degenerative disease, even back then in 1973. And he wagged his finger at me and he said, don't self-diagnose. There's no connection at all between your diet and your condition and symptoms. And you're going to have to be on medication every day, most likely for the rest of your life, and probably have surgery to remove your colon before you reach the age of 30. And I'm like, and I'm supposed to accept this as good news. I'm supposed to just go along with this. So I left the office that afternoon knowing 2 things. Number one, I wasn't going to go that route. I didn't like the doctor. I didn't like his attitude. I didn't like his approach. I didn't like the fact that he didn't answer any of my questions, and that I was supposed to just go along with this treatment protocol. And the second thing was I knew I was on my own. So that next day literally started my healing journey. I was very lucky in that among the very first people I found in my journey simply encouraged me to eat a much healthier diet than I had been on. So I literally just went back to my original diet, and within weeks, I started to see and feel dramatic improvement. So fast forward, I went back to school. I continued to make changes and improvements and saw dramatic improvement in my condition. And so within a few short months, no more symptoms, and I was on my way to my new life. Now, during that time where I had been struggling and suffering, I had a prayer that I said every night before going to bed. And that prayer was basically that if I could ever find a solution to this terrible condition, that I would dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people who found themselves in a similar situation as I did, having only very limited options, medications or surgery, knowing or intuiting at that point that there was a lot more available. So 2022, how did we get here? I started my practice in 1980. And over the years, I have been constantly studying, constantly working with mentors, constantly working with teachers. And so today, and actually, there hasn't been really any significant changes in my basic approach to not only digestive illnesses, helping people to heal from a variety, the full spectrum of digestive system disorders. But as you got from the introduction, it doesn't matter what the condition is or what the symptoms are, because they all have the same root causes. So let's just go over those briefly. So the functional medical model says a couple of things. Number one, physical health is the foundation upon which we build the rest of our lives. And the quality of our physical health is determined by the quality of the life of our cells, cells. The cells of our body are the basic building blocks of our organs and systems. If our cells are healthy, if our cells are functioning normally, then we will be healthy. And that is the basis of functional medicine. So the first principle of functional medicine, functional nutrition, is the body is constantly healing itself. The body is constantly striving to regain, maintain, and optimize normal functioning in every cell of your body, in every organ of your body, in every system of your body. Second, and that's a principle called homeostasis, and it's in every medical book ever written. The second principle of functional medicine, functional nutrition, says when it comes to the individual choices that you make and I make every day about breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, supplements, exercise, etc., but mostly the physical inputs, the nutritional inputs, nothing is neutral. There's nothing that we eat, there's nothing that we drink, there's nothing that we take for supplements or medications, if we take medications, that has a neutral impact on our physiology or no impact on our physiology. Everything has an impact, and that impact is either helpful or harmful. That impact is either driving our physiology towards healing and wellness and wholeness and normal functioning, or it's actively driving our physiology away from normal functioning, towards dysfunction, towards dis-ease. And so we call this phenomenon complementary and insulting habits. So nothing is neutral. Everything that we do is either complementary or helpful, literally driving the body towards greater homeostasis and normal functioning, or it's actively undermining our health. It's actively undermining our body's ability to regain and maintain health. So that's the basic premise. And now, where do we find these complementary and insulting habits? So over the years, we have identified 7 root cause areas. I'm going to mention them and maybe say 1 or 2 very brief things about them, because all this information is in my book. All this information is in the video series that we have just completed. So the entire work that I do, everything that's in the book and everything that I do working with people one-on-one is now in a series of videos where you can participate at that level. We'll talk more about that. So where do we find these complementary and insulting habits? So the 7 root cause areas are, number 1, mindfulness. And it includes all the things that you would normally think of when you think of that term, mindfulness, being greater awareness of everything that you do and the impact that it's having on your physiology. So everybody, before they learn anything new about health and nutrition or cellular regeneration or digestive wellness, before you learn anything new, you already know a lot about your own habits. And you could sit down right now and make a list on one page of all of your insulting habits: eating late at night, not chewing your food, eating when you're stressed, not exercising enough, not drinking enough water, not eating too many processed foods. So you could easily make a list of 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 things or more that you know right now are insulting to your physiology in general and insulting to your digestive system in particular. And then over here on another page, you could write down a list of complementary habits: getting enough sleep and rest, being properly hydrated, chewing your food properly, selecting better quality food for your meals, and on and on. So the basis of functional medicine and functional nutrition is to identify the insulting habits and either eliminate them completely or minimize their negative impact, and start implementing more conscientiously, more mindfully, the complementary habits. So that's root cause area number 1. Root cause area number 2, proper daily hydration. Nobody in the world disagrees with proper daily hydration being an essential health habit, but not everyone does it correctly and consistently. So about 25 years ago, I learned about something that we call affectionately the water cure recipe. It's based on body weight and activity level. We drink half our body weight in ounces of water per day, and to that water, we add a small amount of sea salt, which contains minerals and trace minerals, which allows the water to be absorbed into our cells. It's a game changer. Proper daily hydration. Root cause area number 3, micronutrient deficiencies: vitamins, minerals, trace minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids, pigments like chlorophyll, antioxidants like beta carotene, all the little things that are supposed to be in our food. So we need superfood supplements to make sure that we're getting all the 100 different micronutrients that our cells need to function normally. So there's a whole section in the program about micronutrients. Root cause area number 4, macronutrient imbalances and deficiencies. So this means, do we consume organic quality whole foods? Or are we eating too many processed foods? It's really that simple. Most people in this one area are consuming way too many processed foods. And if they've made changes and are trying to eat more whole foods, then the balance between all the whole food groups need to be looked at and probably adjusted in some way. Now, remember, underneath everything that we're talking about is intestinal dysbiosis, which is root cause area number 5. And so even if you're being mindful, even if you're properly hydrated, even if you've addressed and resolved micronutrients, even if you're eating a balanced whole food, organic whole food diet, even if you're dealing with oxidative stress and you've learned about redox signaling, which are the other root cause area 6 and 7, if you have intestinal dysbiosis, if you have leaky gut and it's not correctly addressed and resolved, you will see very little progress or none at all. So I'll talk more about not so much what dysbiosis is, I've already explained that, but how we resolve it. And that is one of the lessons in the series of videos that we're here to promote to you tonight, introduce you to tonight. So again, root cause area number 5 is this whole area of intestinal dysbiosis and leaky gut, and not only what it is, but specifically how to resolve it. Okay. Root cause area number 6 is oxidative stress, and that is the source of inflammation. And probably the easiest way to think of this, once you begin to get an understanding of complementary and insulting habits cause inflammation. Make inflammation worse, like pouring gasoline on a fire, or another way to look at it is insulting habits prevent your body from getting better. So if you don't identify them, and in some case, almost in every situation where I'm working with somebody, we identify at least 2 or 3 major insulting habits. And once they stop doing those things, and sometimes they're doing things unintentionally or unconsciously, but once we point that out, dramatic progress is made. And in complementary habits are anti-inflammatory. So all the things that we've talked about so far have an anti-inflammatory effect. When you're more mindful, when you're properly hydrated, when you address micronutrients, etc. Okay, and root cause area number 7 is redox signaling. And it's a new science, first discovered in 1997. The scientists who made the discovery won the Nobel Prize for Medicine and Physiology in 1998. Since 1998, laboratories around the world have been trying to biosynthesize these communication molecules, these signaling molecules, which are at the heart, at the core of all cellular activity. In fact, nothing happens inside of our cells without the assistance of redox signaling. So in 2008, 2009, a team of scientists figured out how to biosynthesize these molecules and put them in supplement form. So we have a bioreplenishment supplement for the first time in history to address and resolve redox signaling deficiencies and imbalances. So that, for many people, is a game changer. So what I do when I work with people one-on-one is evaluate their diet and lifestyle, looking at all 7 of these areas. And by making changes in each of the 7 areas, typically just 1 or 2 changes in each of these areas, your body does the rest. As we said, the first principle of functional medicine is the body knows how to heal itself. The only question is, do you know how to cooperate with the self-healing mechanisms of your own body? And that's what functional medicine is. That's what functional nutrition is. It is an owner's manual for you so that you can stop the process of physical degeneration and initiate a process of cellular regeneration in every organ and system and cell of your body. So let me stop there, Mark. I think we're ready to go on to the next section.
With the next section, we're talking about having everybody kind of looking at, you were talking before about some of the specific things that people can do.
Yes, sorry. So, okay, now, so I just went over the 7 root cause areas very briefly. Let me say just a couple of things about 3 of those 7 areas. And these are some of the things that you can start to implement immediately without buying a book or buying the video series. There's some things that you want to walk away from this session with. And of course, we encourage you to buy the book. Of course, we encourage you to purchase the video series. So let's look at mindfulness. So this is really, hopefully by now you're getting a sense of the difference between complementary and insulting habits. And if you were to do this exercise of making a list of all the known insulting habits that you're currently engaging in, again, you probably don't have to think too long about it. And then write down some of the complementary habits. If you would, for a 7-day period, not just identify the insulting habits, but let's just take the top 2. Let's say you have a insulting habit of eating late at night. So if for 7 days in a row, once you finish dinner, and hopefully you finish dinner by 7 or 7:30 at the latest, or if you can finish earlier, that's even better. But then once you push away from the dinner table, you don't eat anything. You don't snack on anything, and you certainly don't eat anything before going to bed. And you do that conscientiously, mindfully, with 100% commitment for 7 days in a row, and you could have a breakthrough in your health. The number one cause of insomnia is eating late at night. When you eat, see, your digestive system, before you go to sleep, you're supposed to have at least 3 hours since eating anything so that your digestive system starts settling down. But if you go to sleep with your digestive system fully engaged and fully active, you won't be able to go to sleep, or you'll go to sleep and wake up an hour or two later, and then you can't get back to sleep because your body is in active digestive mode and it doesn't want to be doing that. So eating late at night, major insulting habit. Another easy insulting habit to pay attention to is chewing your food. This is another one of those, nobody questions or doubts the importance of chewing your food, but guess what? And if you ask people, how many times per mouthful should I chew? Everyone will say, well, at least 25. And some people will say 35 or even 50. But do a chewing experiment. Next time you sit down and eat anything, start counting the chews before you swallow. And most people will realize, oh my gosh, I'm starting to swallow after 7 or 8. Okay? So just those two things. Not eating late at night, not eating anything after dinner, and chewing your food properly, correctly, effectively, every meal for 7 days in a row, you will have a breakthrough, I promise you. Now, there are many other habits to look at. In fact, in my book, I think I have 10 pages of insulting habits and complementary habits. So there are many other things that you can look at, but almost everyone has one or two that they can identify right away. So if you focus on those and focus on the complementary habits over a 7-day period, you will have a breakthrough, I promise you. Now, the second thing, the next easiest thing to do would be proper daily hydration. If you go to our website, the Center for Functional Nutrition.net, you will see on the headline banner somewhere the water cure recipe. Okay, so you can download the 3 or 4 page PDF that teaches you exactly how to properly hydrate your body. Every organ, every system, every cell of your body needs to be properly hydrated. 55 to 75% of the physical structure of every cell of your body, including your bone cells, is water. But it's not this kind of water. It's water, it's a fluid called cytosol. In that fluid are all of your nutrients, all of your micronutrients, hormones, enzymes, all the biochemistry that's in our body, in our cells, is all in a liquid environment, is all in a fluid environment. So if there's drought at any level, if your body needs 50 ounces of water a day and you're only drinking 20 ounces of water a day, then you are unintentionally, chronically dehydrated. And it could be the major reason for your headaches, for your body aches, for your muscle aches, for your irritable bowel, for your skin problems, for your mood problems, for your energy problems. So proper daily hydration is a game changer. It is a transformational health habit. And if you download the PDF, you can read about my story with dehydration, because it was a major piece of my misinformation. It was a missing piece of the puzzle of health for me. And I went almost 25 years suffering periodic bouts of clinical depression and acute anxiety attacks. And I went to see everybody to try to get to the root of those problems. No one ever talked to me about proper daily hydration. Somebody gave me a book. Some of you know it. It's called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. It's written by a medical doctor named Dr. Batman Gelage. We call him Dr. B for short because it's hard to pronounce his last name. He passed away in 2004, but he wrote 8 books on the therapeutic value of proper daily hydration. I spent 2 hours on the phone with him back in 1997, and I started doing his water cure when I got off the phone. 2 weeks later, my body was starting to become properly hydrated. And since that day, in March 1997, I've never had another anxiety attack, and I've never had a moment of clinical depression. So it's a game changer for me, one of the most important things to happen in my life. And I promised Dr. B that I would share his water cure with anyone I would ever meet for free. So I've been doing that for 25 years, but it's an essential piece of the puzzle, and it is root cause area number 2.
But can I pause for there just real quick? I know
Yes,
you got a lot
yes,
to go,
please. Go ahead.
Two things real quick. One is this also available in the free ebook that everybody got for registering tonight?
Yes, absolutely.
So they've already got that.
Yes. So if you got the free ebook,
that download, and we'll talk more about the download that you already have. I just wanted to say, I learned something the other day that what is measured is treasured. And for me, I knew how much water I had, but I didn't know how little I was getting until I measured it. I was drinking 3 liters a day. And even now I was like, no, I really should be drinking a gallon. And so as part of your program, I bought a gallon jug that I fill up every morning. I add the salt to it. And then I know at the end of the day how much, and I try to be done with it before dinner so that I'm not, drinking late into the night. But you go over all of that. But I just wanted to kind of emphasize the importance of measuring to see how little you're actually drinking.
Yeah, so everyone who registered for tonight's session received, or should have received, an ebook called How to Be Healthy in a Time of Crisis, which I wrote at the beginning of the pandemic. It includes several chapters from my book, including the water cure recipe. So you should all have that. If for some reason you didn't get it, just contact us through our website and we'll make sure you get that right away. And Mark,
I had some people asking about the program. We will get into that in just a couple of minutes. I know you have
yes.
to cover.
Yeah, so it's time to go into the course in functional nutrition, which is a video series based on the work I have been doing for 42 years, working with people one-on-one. 2 years ago, we started to put these videos together to be able to walk you through step by step the same process I take people through when I work with them one-on-one. So for many, many years, people have only had 2 options: to buy the book and to try to do it on their own, or to work with me directly one-on-one. And of course, that's still an option for everyone. And for some people, that is the best option because their condition is serious, or they want the extra coaching and guidance and support. And of course, that's fine. I'm happy to do that. Typically, that investment is going to be somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 over a 6-month period to get that level of focus and attention and coaching and guidance. And so we wanted to create a third option for a lot of people who may not have been able to afford the one-on-one option, but also may not have had an extreme or serious condition, but they wanted to get the benefit of not only addressing the 7 root cause areas, but particularly learning how to address and resolve intestinal dysbiosis and leaky gut. So there's a complete chapter in the complete lesson in the series of videos that will walk you through that process. Okay, so Mark, go ahead. Let's talk more about how people can access the video series. I left out maybe the most important thing. So the video series typically costs $497, which is a wonderful bargain for all the information that you're getting. And that includes 2 free Zoom sessions every month, the first and third Wednesday of every month. But for those of you who are on the Zoom tonight, there's a special offer. Mark will talk more about this for to get that complete video series for $197. So we want everyone to be able to benefit from this incredible video series. I just watched the whole thing again this past week, and I got a lot out of it. So Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot more to say. I can show you a little bit about what the video series are, and we'll talk a little bit more about that because those live calls are really important. The videos themselves, the amount of content in it is 3.5 hours. That includes Q&A on each section. So they're really easy, digestible bites of the content that you worked with me one-on-one over the last 4 months. So it's really easy, spoon-fed. And you can watch it at your own pace. So people who want to get it all can absorb it really, really quick. But it's those live calls. You've got 2 each month. One of them really about the content, and then the other piece really more about the nutrition, the supplements, and those other pieces. Tell us a little bit more about that. It's funny because you said I forgot to tell you about the price and the discount. I did put that in the chat. So the link is in the chat, so people can go there now. When they go to look at it, I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is we didn't change the price, so it's still showing as $497. The good news is my wife is a genius, went into the back end. So when you click buy now, when you go to the actual checkout, it will say $197. So you'll see $197 when you go to checkout. The sales page still has our whole retail price $497. But I just wanted to let you know, for anybody that's going there now, if you go to the checkout, you'll see that it is $197, and that's as part of this launch. We also want to get your feedback. We want you to show up on these live calls that Russell's about to share, so that we can really make sure that you're getting the benefits that all of this content has to offer.
Thank you, Mark. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone who has actually participated in the Zoom tonight will receive my book in ebook form.
Right.
Okay, and someone asked for the name of the book. It's called Principle Eating, The No Diet Way to Complete Health, Digestive Wellness Edition. So everything that I've talked about tonight is, of course, in the book. It's a full explanation, comprehensive explanation of the functional medical model, functional nutritional model, what are the 7 root cause areas. It goes into great detail, what supplements to order, what habits to focus on, of course, the water cure. So everything is in the book. And now everything is in a series of 8 videos. Okay, so there are 8 primary lessons, and then there's an introduction, there's an overview, there's a special video just about the supplements, what supplements to order, exactly how much, and then of course you would call into our office, you would talk to Megan. She has a short questionnaire to make sure that your supplement order will be personalized and customized for your needs. And I've created that questionnaire, so we'll make sure that you're getting exactly what you need. And and yes, as Mark said, there at the end of each lesson there is a Q&A. And then when you go on the live sessions, of course, we'll record those, and eventually, there'll be a library of frequently asked questions and all the sessions. So there'll be a tremendous amount of support for everyone who buys the video series, as close as we can make it, as close as I am able to make it, as if you were working with me one-on-one.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because 2 things. One, about the Q&A. We are going to stick around for at least another 20 minutes after the top of the hour to answer any specific questions. So if you do have questions and you want to put those in the chat, whether that's about the program, we'll also have you share your questions. But I also wanted to go back to oh shoot, what was it? The structure of the call. Oh yes, the value. One of the values of being in a beta program like this is the extra attention that you get during those one-on-one calls, because it is a much smaller group. Of course, over time, those Q&A calls are going to get more and more crowded, so it may not be as personal, but you always get value from what you're hearing from the other people. What I like to look at, and what I was talking to Russell is, for years, Russell has been a guide, a personal guide, where he takes you out into the wilderness and is in there with you, addressing very, very severe chronic illness. And he's offered the book as kind of a map. Here's the map, go out and get it yourself. And those are the only options. You could take the map and go do it yourself, or you could take a guide along with you. This is like saying, okay, now we're going to all go as a safari, and we get to split a lot of the expense. Instead of it being a $3,000 to $5,000 expense, we can all join for now $200. Even at $500, it's going to be a huge savings. But the idea of coming as a group adds a whole lot of extra value. You're going to learn from the other people in there, getting some of the experiences, and hopefully we'll hear a little bit after the presentation from some of you about some of the chronic issues that you might be dealing with, or some people that you know and love that are dealing with, and again, addressing specific answers. So you'll get a taste of what it's like to actually have these Q&A calls and having a community of people that are all focused on increasing and improving our health. I just wanted to kind of include that in there, the idea of, that you are an amazing guide beyond just the health and wellness, the how you show up in the world, the spiritual leader that you are in my life and in my community beyond just the health and wellness. So being part of a community like this, again, like you said, not everybody can afford to work with you one-on-one, but this makes it really easy for everyone. And I'm so grateful to be a part of making this available, and everything that Megan and Brian and everybody else behind the scenes has done to get to this. And it's just going to keep growing from here.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, you and Renee have been extremely helpful in helping put this webinar together so that we can make this video series available to more and more people. And Mark's right, you will benefit from the other people who are buying the video series and then taking themselves through the program, through the videos, and then coming onto the Zooms, asking questions about how they're proceeding. And you'll see there's a lot of commonality. I mean, it really isn't rocket science. Probably the most common thing that is said to me, once people have fully integrated all the steps of the program, is, if I knew how easy this was going to be, I would have done it sooner. And kind of the opposite of that is the number one reason most people put off doing a program like this, or even working with me one-on-one. Most people tell me the reason they put it off was not the expense. The reason they put it off is that they didn't think they could do it, or they thought it would be too complicated, or they thought they would have to be uncomfortable before they started feeling good again. And then for a variety of reasons, they finally decide to, jump in, make the commitment, and work with me. And then a week later, or 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, as their body starts benefiting from the reduction of insulting habits, the reduction of inflammation, and the increase of homeostasis because of all the complementary habits, behaviors, and supplements, their body is simply healing themselves. And believe me, the biggest insight of all is your body doesn't want to be sick. Your body doesn't want to experience any negative symptoms whatsoever. So at the first opportunity, when your body sees that you are now starting to cooperate at a whole new level, that you've figured out about the insulting habits and got rid of them or minimized them, and you've now started to do more complementary habits consistently, I promise you, your body is going to send you an unmistakable message, a very clear message. And that message is, way to go, Mark, way to go, Martha, way to go, John, way to go, Peter. You've finally figured out how to cooperate with me, your body. And now everything is going to start to improve. There's no reason why anyone cannot have complete remission of symptoms, because your body is hardwired to repair and restore functioning to every organ and system and cell. That is the basis, that is the foundation of functional medicine, functional nutrition, the basis of my program, that is the purpose of the video series. So I think, Mark, we can transition to the Q&A.
Yep. So before we do that, I want to kind of wrap everything up, put a nice little bow on it. I did put the link back in the chat. So anybody that was asking about where that is, it's back in the chat. You can click that link. It says $497, but when you hit any of the buy buttons, you'll see in the checkout, it's $197. That is what you'll be charged. Again, it will be going back up to the $497, but as early adopters, we wanted you to be able to have this right away for the $197. But I also wanted to share with that as kind of the wrapping it up. One of the important things about any soulful offer is some form of guarantee. Now, once you start working with Russell one-on-one, you've already made the commitment. You're fully in. When you're doing this program, you get the option of trying it out for 30 days. So you can spend the $197 now, go all in, and you see the results that you're going to get. You're going to want to keep going through. You're going to want to get all the extra support and everything else. But I just wanted to let everybody know that this is a risk-free offer as part of this video course, that you can get all of the information. You can suck it all up, do it all, and then get your money back if you don't see the results that you're looking for. So one way or the other, even if you don't buy the program, this is kind of the bow part that I was talking about. Russell, you shared something that we can all do. You've got that list of insulting habits and complementary habits. So having that list, if you just picking the top 3 things, or even if it's the top 1 thing that you want to add to your complementary list, and then on your insulting list, if there's something that you can drop off of there, that one piece over 30 days, you'll see results. You can come back. We'll still have the program. It won't be available for $197, but you can still join. If you join now for the $197, again, you have the guarantee. If you're not getting the results you want, we'll take care of you. That's the part I wanted to share. Is there anything else as far as the call to action, as far as what people can do today, whether they join your program or not, to start getting control of their health again, so they can be more vibrant and healthy?
Well, again, the most important thing, the easiest thing, the most common sense thing is, based on your current level of knowledge about your own habits and about your own level of commitment, as Mark was just suggesting, sit down and do that simple exercise. Make a list of complementary habits, make a list of insulting habits. Even if you just choose one insulting habit and eradicate it, eliminate it for 7 days in a row, and choose one complementary habit to focus on, again, with 100% commitment, not maybe, not one day on, one day off, but do this with 100% commitment, you will see results within that 7-day period. It's a very powerful thing. People know these things, but until you put it into practice, you're not going to get the result that you're looking for. And again, we're not talking months and months, 7 days, and you will see a significant improvement. And again, that is your body sending a clear message to you. Thank you for cooperating, because your body wants to have good energy. Your body wants to function normally. Every cell of your body is genetically programmed to function normally. The schools in functional medicine are called nutrigenomics and epigenetics. Both of those terms mean that the connection between nutrition and health is not casual, it's causal. Most people are still walking around thinking that their genetics is the reason why they have the condition that they have. Genetics is only 5 to 10% of the reason why you have any condition. 90% of why you develop anything is your diet, is your environment, but particularly the physical inputs in your diet, what you eat, what you drink, what you take for supplements. So that's very good news. That means you can reverse any degenerative condition. That means that you can activate, you can optimize the positive genetic programming in every cell of your body. That's what your body wants to do. And it's very eagerly waiting for you to initiate that process. So I hope you will initiate that process. I hope you will stay connected to this information. I will continue to be here to help spread the good news about functional medicine and functional nutrition and the role of digestive wellness in that whole process.
Beautiful. And we do have a bunch of questions. I just wanted to make sure, and we were able to do it. Again, there's a lot of information there. For some people, it might have felt a little bit like a fire hose, but again, I think it was really good to have the overview of the 7 roots and then really be able to focus on those 1 or 2 that can make a huge difference right away. So we will get to all of the questions that are in the chat, and then you can raise your hands if you have questions. I see people raising their hands. I'll get to all of those as well. One of the questions, well, actually, I'll go to the hands raised first.
Yeah, please. Go to the hands raised. Yep.
Roberto is up first, then Christine, and then Martha. Roberto, you're up.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for being so generous with your wisdom. Totally appreciate that and your commitment to health and well-being for all of us. Currently, I'm working on developing my healing plan for prostate cancer. And so I'm actually using what I call a Por Vida approach. I'm an indigenous person. Por Vida is the energy for life and love and evolutionary change. People say they're sending me prayers. I'm trying to take the energy, channel it to create healing, but I also want to develop complementary habits that nurture my well-being. So I'm just curious, given all your experience, what impact have you seen it on prostate cancer, or have you?
Yes, I have. I've worked with many men over the years with that particular condition. And one of the links that I have found is a history. So for every man that I have worked with prostate issues, including prostate cancer, there has been a history of either irritable bowel or constipation at some level, some type of irregular bowel movement activity going back a long period of time. And if not that specific thing, then this condition of dysbiosis that I talked about. If you look at the anatomy of the prostate, the colon, the sigmoid colon, presses right up against the prostate. So I'm convinced that if the colon is not healthy, then it can have an adverse effect over time directly on the prostate. So again, digestive wellness, having a healthy intestine, particularly having a healthy colon, does have a positive impact on overall health and particularly prostate health. I hope that's helpful. And thank you, Roberto, for being here. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for that great question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto. And yes, definitely sending love and energy. And it's great to be able to receive it and process it. And it sounds like you're really taking control in your hands. And I just want to applaud you for that process right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. And hopefully you two can connect. Thank you. Christine.
Yes, so I was definitely guided to be here on this call because I personally don't, I think it's wonderful. I've learned a lot and I'm very much aware and going to be drinking a lot more water and everything else. But I have a dear friend in her 80s in LA who I talk to weekly who says, how are you? Oh, just going to my doctors, but I'm getting better. They can't figure it out. Epstein-Barr, chronic fatigue, leaky gut. She's not on any medications, but she's feeling crappy. And I feel like this is the answer. I was guided to this, to meet you and all of you, to tell her about your program.
That's great, Christine. I was also guided to be here tonight, but thank you. That's wonderful. And please go to the website. The phone number is right there. You're welcome to be on a 3-way call with your friend in LA to support her. I'm happy to do that, or we can get on a Zoom. I have worked with many people in their 80s and 90s And one of the testaments to cellular regeneration, to this functional medical model, is it doesn't matter how old we are. The body still wants to be healthy. This body still has the capacity to restore function. So I look forward to meeting your 80-year-old friend from LA.
Okay, I would like to just forward some of the things to her and get the conversation started.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. You feel free. I do have there's a video on the website that, introduces me to people. Sometimes that helps, but just contact me through the website and we can set up a call for sure.
Okay,
and Christine,
wonderful.
to answer your question in the chat, yes, she will get the discount. We'll make sure, because you asked and for every reason, yes.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
sorry. Of
All
course.
right.
You didn't know the question, Russell, that part of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Martha. Oh, you're muted, Martha.
You're muted, Martha.
She's got it.
Here I had it all set up to unmute. I didn't do it. Okay. Your program is really wonderful. I joined in, I think, the beginning of the year, and I've been doing intermittent fasting. But listening to you, I think you have to go back over and over the program and can't just think that you know everything, or knows everything, that I know everything. Because I've not been taking the putting the salt in the water. I was doing intermittent fasting, but I'm realizing that I'm going to bed too late and eating too late. And what I've developed is on my arms, the fascia is like lumping up, and the doctors don't even know what the name fascia is. I think it's great. So I've got to go back and revisit that and check that out. But I'm wondering if you have heard much about cryogenic healing. People go into these very cold tubs, whatever they are, and they claim it's so great for inflammation. I don't know that I can even stand it, but I have a client in California that loves it.
Yeah, it's very common practice in certain natural healing cycles. It's part of the reason people dive into freezing cold water, at all times of the year. It causes a dramatic change in circulation, and many times that is helpful in reducing inflammation. It's pretty extreme, but it can work for certain people. It isn't anything I have done. It isn't anything that I'm recommending. But to your point, the value of knowing that your body is fully capable of healing itself, and the value of knowing that there are 7 areas, not 20 and not 3, but there are 7 distinct and interconnected areas that we must look into. And typically there are 1 or 2 changes that need to be made. And that is what gives your body the ability to regain function, to literally take down whatever weird symptom that your body's manifesting. Because the reason it's manifesting whatever weird symptom it is imbalances in each of these 7 root cause areas. So most people know to drink water, but they don't know the reason for adding the salt. And it's a tiny amount of salt. I mean, we're talking about 1/8 of a teaspoon per quart, or at most 1/4 of a teaspoon per quart. The reason for doing that is that's what allows the minerals in the sea salt, of which there are over 40, function as electrolytes. And that's what allows the water molecules to get inside your cells, your kidney cells, your heart cells, your liver cells, your bone cells. So people who just drink water, they're not absorbing that water. So when you add the sea salt, you have a dramatic increase in getting the water to where you need it to go, which is into your cells. So definitely read over the water cure recipe and do it with 100% commitment for at least 7 days in a row. You will see a significant improvement.
Bingo.
Bingo.
You just put the nail on the head, because I've been peeing, on and on and on, day and night. Well, because the water's just all going through,
That's right.
Unlike the sea, and unlike our, when we're born, we've had this pool of water. And now.
That's right. That's right. You're not absorbing. It's a game changer when you do the water cure correctly. Martha, thank you so much. That's a
This
very
is what I'm saying. I just want to say one
question.
thing. When buying this program, and it's wonderful, I know it's going to be great for people. We need to keep going over the program.
Yeah, well,
My opinion. That's my
keep watching the videos and then come on to the Zoom sessions.
exactly.
In the Zoom sessions that you'll get the personalized tweaking or adjusting that you need, like we just experienced. Add the salt to the water, it makes a difference.
I'm glad you brought that up, Martha, because that is an important thing. The Zoom calls, it's a whole year. So to have 24 live group calls with anybody for $197, doesn't matter what they're offering, is amazing. And yes, you definitely want to show up for those calls. I also want to point out, I made a little mistake. I was saying that we didn't have the price change. That's because our wonderful team, Aaliyah, thank you so much, Aaliyah, had set up a special page just for this event with the right page. And when you go to the checkout, it'll all be smooth and right and correct. So I just was using the regular link when I shared it earlier, and then had Renee do work she didn't need to do. If you just go to the link that says the course in functionalnutrition.com/webinar special, there I go with it wrong again. Not the first one, the one that actually has the L on it. See that link, go there, that will do it right. Jana, Karen, anybody who's checked out already with the other link, it did charge $197, but on the email, it's the old systems, which is saying that you thank you for paying $497. So for anybody who's already done it, you can email me, mark@markporteous.com, if there's any billing or questions or whatever else, but it is $197. This special page will have everything check out nice and smoothly, and you're welcome to share this. I believe that we are able to offer this discount anytime over the next week. So if you have people that want to sign up, have them sign up in the next week. We will have the replay. That was another question for somebody that had to run. We will send out a replay for this call and let everybody know that they only have 7 days to take advantage of the $197 special.
Mark, before we conclude the Q&A, I see a raised hand from
You too. We have more questions in the chat box, but
Yael. I call her Yael. I love this name. Hello. This is the first time I'm seeing her.
Oh,
Yael went through my program over the last several months. So Yael, thank you for being here. Please ask your question.
I want to say that to everyone that's on here, it has changed my life. It was amazing. It is amazing. Russell is like a father. I have a father. I have a great father, but he's a father figure in my life. He's on. I can text him questions. I can call him. The program was amazing. Everything just makes sense. It's just life-changing. It's eye-opening. And there's...
Yael, would you mind telling everybody what condition you had and kind of how bad?
Yes. I'm 28 years old. I have 2 kids. I was diagnosed with Crohn's and then ulcerative colitis. I had alopecia when I was little. Then I had Crohn's and then ulcerative colitis. They weren't sure. And then this was 2 years ago, a year. And then my cousin also had ulcerative colitis, and she was working with Russell. And it took me a year of my life to say finally that I'm going to say yes to Russell. And I should have done it right away from that hospital bed. I should have called Russell, because for 1 year, I didn't know what to eat and what to do. And he finally helped me. He helped me bring my inflammation down. He helped me just not be scared, because I would eat food and just be scared of what did I just do? I would eat vegetables and be scared because I just didn't know. Like the doctors kept saying, don't eat vegetables. So I was eating candy because I'm like, what am I supposed to eat for a full year? And then he gave me freedom. He gave me knowledge. And when you do this program, it's worth thousands of dollars. Like looking back, and when he first told me the price, I'm like, I don't know, it's expensive for now. It's worth thousands. Like I would go back and spend every single inch of my money on it, because it's eye-opening and it gives you freedom. And he's not paying me for this, I promise you.
This is unrehearsed.
Unrehearsed. I don't even know why I came on the Zoom. I saw his thing. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna come. But I do have a question.
Sure.
I
Thank
do.
you.
I
Thank
am
you.
looking.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I am looking for like a microbiotic group of like people that get together that do like recipes and stuff, because I am a good cook, but I don't want to get too bored of this. I don't do the same things, but I want to open my variety of cooking.
Sure. So the first thing I would recommend would be to contact Megan and then just talk to her about recipes. Megan is an excellent, whole food chef, and we have endless variety. I'm always amazed at, how we consume whole foods, but every night it's different, every week it's different, every season it's different. So she can be very helpful to you. And then privately, if I can talk to you about how to tap into some of the groups that you're wanting to connect with. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was seriously, everyone else who's on, I've never seen Yael right now, tonight, for the first time. Sometimes with people, sometimes it's just over the phone, and it just was, I don't know why, it just turned out to be all those months I was just working with Yael over the phone. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story.
And I want to thank you, Yael, because I actually asked Russell, I said, do you have people that you've worked with that could make the call? He goes, well, I sent out the invitation. It's kind of last minute now to ask people to show up and to share their story is also something that you want to kind of prearrange. So thank you for your vulnerability and being able to share openly about your experience. It really is very, very special. So thank you. Also, I have a couple other questions real quick that I can answer here. Where will the link be for the discount price? On an email, I did put it in again, but it will also be in the email follow-up. And yes, the replay is in there, as well as the ebook, which you should have received. So will this video recordings be available? Yes. Oh, and one of them was asking about the redox signaling, and they asked if it was a particular brand. They asked if it was a SIA, and then somebody else, a different person, said redox versus sea salt. And I don't know if redox, if they were meaning a SIA or some other form, but one of the questions was redox versus sea salt, also drops of lemon, help hydration, question mark. So I'll let you answer all those.
Okay, so many people add lemon juice to their drinking water because they've been told that lemon juice is alkaline, but it's not. Lemons are acidic. So now, if you add lemon juice to your water and you love that and you're feeling perfectly healthy, please continue it. But I have found that for therapeutic purposes, adding sea salt to the drinking water is transformational. So I've done that every day of my life since first learning about it 25 years ago. In terms of the connection or relationship between redox signaling supplement and salt water, they're completely different things, okay? So redox signaling supplement is a child of nanotechnology. And the process, which is highly patented, over 31 patents, starts with purified water, which is distilled water, which is H2O. So that's two atoms, hydrogen, oxygen, and pharmaceutical grade salt, which is not sea salt. Pharmaceutical grade salt is sodium chloride, pure sodium chloride, which does not exist in nature. And so they have four atoms, hydrogen, oxygen, sodium, chloride, and nitrogen. They put these 5 atoms through a very special electrochemical process where the atoms are broken down into subatomic particles and then reconfigured into redox signaling molecules. Redox signaling molecules are only 2 atoms in size, which makes them the tiniest actor that can be identified in our physiology as doing something significant. So redox signaling supplements although originally derived from a saline solution, is not salt water. Okay, so I hope that helps. So salt water is what we drink, and again, it's a tiny, tiny amount of organic sea salt with many, many minerals in it, not just sodium and chloride. And the redox signaling supplement is again redox signaling molecules are very, very different than anything else that you have in the world of supplements, or they're not even micronutrients. Redox signaling molecules are made in every healthy cell of your body. And so this is a process of duplicating or replicating the very type of molecules that our body produces, but only our healthy cells produce. So as we age and due to all the other reasons, people produce less redox signaling molecules out of the mitochondria of their cell. In fact, this is the major cause of chronic fatigue. Many doctors now call chronic fatigue mitochondrial disease. And the reason the deficiency is there is because the mitochondria is not producing enough redox signaling molecules. That's a more complicated answer than I probably should have gone into, but they're totally different things. Redox signaling supplements and salt water.
Well, while you're on that water, let's just ask my dear friend Gina Tickerson was asking, do you recommend spring water versus alkaline water? Because I know that that's another thing, the alkalinity versus tap water or something else. So
I do not recommend the consumption of tap water at all anywhere on planet Earth, not so much for the source of the water, but for the miles and miles of pipes, including the pipes in your own home, that the water has to travel. If you've ever seen a broken water main, and I have several times, you would never drink tap water ever again. So even if the water treatment facility, if the water coming out of that facility is relatively healthy and clean, and it's not, there are all kinds of levels of impurities that are allowed in tap water. Okay, so tap water is not a good idea for anyone under any circumstances. And spring water, if you can find it, if you can go to a local spring and get spring water, fantastic. I did that for years. But the easiest thing to do is to get a point of use water purifier just for your drinking and cooking water. They're very cost effective. Again, if you go to our website and ask about the water purifier that we use and recommend, we'll be happy to share that information with you. But part of the reason why we add sea salt to the drinking water is to make that water slightly alkaline. The pH of your blood, the pH of your lymph, the pH of the fluid in your cells is alkaline, or the pH is alkaline. And most chronic degenerative conditions occur over time due to an over-acid condition of your blood, due to an over-acid condition of your whole body. So drinking slightly alkaline water is one thing among many to help the body restore its innate and natural alkalinity. Good question. Thank you for that question.
It was, and one that I know other people have asked. So I've got one more question regarding nutrition. And then if anybody else has any, feel free to put them in the chat. We only have a couple more minutes here. I know we got to stop at the bottom of the hour.
We have a hard stop at 9:30.
Yes, I think you can probably answer this one quickly. Somebody, I was explaining the intermittent fasting, and somebody was asking, well, since it's a circadian rhythm and we have less light, more light during the summer, does your body adapt to where it's okay to eat later during the summer?
The simple answer is yes.
Oh, I'm surprised.
That's a good thing to point out. And the principle of not eating for at least 3 hours before going to bed is still true. So even though because of the available light, you can eat a little later than usual in the summer months, it's still critical to not eat anything or to not go to bed for at least 3 hours after you've finished eating whatever you're going to eat for the day. And, you know, that is a form of intermittent fasting. The reason we call breakfast breakfast is because we're breaking the fast. And if you stop eating at 6 p.m. and you don't eat again till 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., that's a 14-hour intermittent fast, which is extremely helpful to the healing of your body. Very complementary habit, intermittent fasting. Thank you for that question.
Absolutely. So the last thing is really just about back to the program. Several people have asked if they can share this with others. So tomorrow we're going to send out an email to everyone who registered with the replay, the book that you should have gotten for registering, and the link so that you can sign up for this 197. So we will extend this for 7 days. Anybody can sign up and get the 197. We'll be doing another webinar probably at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, where we'll be offering it back at the 497 price. So if you would like to be an affiliate and help promote the webinars, that's great. If you just want to share it with friends, our next one, we would love to have that as well. I just put my email in the chat. So if you would like to promote the next webinar to your family or friends, please put something in the chat and I'll make sure to reach out to you. And the email tomorrow, you are welcome to share. Please do. Anybody that you know that can benefit from this information, obviously Russell wants them to have that information.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you, Russell. Again, thank you, Megan. Thank you, everyone, for showing up to get the information and showing up for yourselves. Any last word before we go, Russell?
Sure. Again, that quote that came up earlier, you know, the connection between nutrition and health is not casual. It's causal. It's very important. And then one of my favorite sayings is, when I find and do the things that nourish my cells best, all will be well today and in all the days ahead. So thank you again, everyone, for coming tonight, for being here, for being so attentive, for asking great questions. Please share this with everyone you love and care about, and we'll see you again soon on another webinar.
Very good, will do. And thank you, David Biggers. Great to see you. I'm glad that you made it here. Sorry that you weren't able to get into late. We will make sure that you get the replay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate it, Russell.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for being a great host. The host with the appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Good job, guys.
Good night.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to end the Zoom.